Elden Ring has now been out for 3 years, and despite its massive success for FromSoftware, you still hear people arguing over which Soul game is the greatest. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that game is Elden Ring. But in what ways is the game better, and can I shut down those of you that are detractors before you manage to drive me mad? Let's find out. Gaming is one of the greatest mediums that the world has known for both enjoying time alone or with groups of friends. As such, we all have our opinions on which game genre, art style, or yes, even in a series is the best and worst. Unlike movies that tend to drop in quality as a franchise goes on, I mean, look at any horror movie that's still alive from the 80s today, or even the MCU in its current form to get examples of this. Games have the uncanny ability to actually get better. Personally, after all these years, some of my favorite games in a franchise are the second or even 8th installments with Halo 2 and Final Fantasy VIII respectively. Anyway, what I am saying is just because the game is the progenitor of the series does not mean it's the best in a lumped together franchise. Now I've beat around the bush enough and you've read the title, so you know what I'm talking about with the collective of games lovingly called the Soulsborne genre, and why I believe that Elden Ring is the greatest amongst these legendary titles. If you, like myself, believe that Elden Ring stands at the pinnacle of the franchise, go ahead and subscribe. And if I manage to convince you to my side, please feel free to do so when I do. With that being said, let's do it. Now, first, let me start out by describing what I mean when I say Soulsborne. Well, at least in my not-so-expert opinion. It should consist of Demon Souls, due to it being the same company, but due to some bullshit it not being able to get any sequels. Dark Souls 1 through 3, Bloodborne, and now Elden Ring. I would put Sekiro on this list, but I feel it is unique enough from some of the core components that maybe we should start looking into naming a new, closer to its genre of games Sekiro likes. But that's for a different video. Well then, I know what you are thinking. What is it that makes a Souls-like in your opinion, dumbass? And to that I say, it's Dr. Dumbass to you. I've spent way too long living in this world to have anything less than a doctorate in dumbassery. But to seriously answer the inevitable question, to me a Souls game is known by its back and forth combat, where not only your health bar but also your stamina bar must be considered for what you must do to win combat. And while memorizing boss patterns can make you a master of the game, overleveling is still an option if you're willing to farm, but every RPG has that mechanic, even the turn-based ones. I'm oversimplifying here, but I feel like with these parameters we can at least start. While Demon Souls may have started the franchise, a lot of its features were ported into and expanded on in the next 3 Souls-named games with Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, sharing what we in the community amusingly call clunky combat controls, where sometimes due to harder-to-time attacks or player error, an attack that you thought you dodged got you killed, and sometimes things that definitely should have hit you go harmlessly through your body into the Kamui dimension, as you get just the final butt poke ending the enemy that should have fucking killed you. Bloodborne expanded on this with tight dodge mechanics, some sick-ass American magic, and the only parry mechanic that I can actually do as a filthy fucking casual. However, in the grand scheme of things, it added another dimension to gameplay and made for faster and more aggressive gameplay with the rally system that they added in. Do you know what they decided to do well when they made Elden Ring? They enhanced the combat again by adding Verticality with its jump mechanic. The thing is that people tend to forget when it comes to the combat in Elden Ring is that Miyazaki took all the things that were beloved from previous systems, except American magic, that bastard, and gave you an analog in the game, and they did it in a way where you did not have to use them. If you wanted to, you could acquire some of them. The roll mechanic, it was made less clunky. The magic system, they enhanced what they put into Dark Souls 3's with the FP flash system, which in my opinion is better than the set number of casts per spell from the previous 2 games. Weapon arts made a comeback, giving that crowd something to rave about, and again adding another level to how you can take on challenges. Even the rally system from Bloodborne made a comeback, if you can defeat Melania and acquire her great rune. And still, we have the dark horse of the franchise making a great contribution to the overall amazingness of the game with its dual wielding and unique attack patterns while doing so. However, the best part is you can choose to interact with these mechanics if you want, or not. If Dark Souls was your favorite game, you can challenge yourself by only casting spells a certain amount of times, not have any FP flasks, and use none of the bloat. You can still beat the game. What if you're a bigger fan of Bloodborne? Well, that one is a bit trickier because of the Millennia part. But slap a few talismans on with the right rune and a proper spiky stick and you have a proper rally system built in for you also. Remember the verticality that I mentioned with jumping in combat? Well, the combat verticality didn't just stick to combat zones, but it made all those god-awful fucking roll jumps from the previous games obsolete. Oh, it is jumpable? Son of a... Now, whilst exploring, you can simply jump to location instead of, falling to another death. And I'm dead again. Son of a bitch. Mind you, it's still clunky sometimes, but it helped change exploration on multiple different levels. In the open world, if you can't reach something, well, Turret has that double jump ability that might help you get to that item that you were trying to reach, or it might just be a matter of working your way around a cliff to fall down on that shiny item that was just out of range. And with a certain skill, a lot of patience, people have come up with some really crafty ways of getting around certain pitfalls in the game. Yeah, well, it's just too big and empty with no integrated level design, I hear you saying. Well, yeah, this could be true in the base game world from time to time. However, you have to look at the world as what it is. With the intro cutscene, we're shown the Shattering War, where the world is full of armies and the like. But this is after the Shattering War. Most, if not all, major factions have been destroyed and dispersed by constant war. We are no longer in a Shattering War era, or even a golden age that America had brought together before the death of her son. This is after the metaphorical nukes have dropped on the lands, the zombies have come and they've went by now, and we see this is all that's left in its wake. Great cathedrals have been destroyed, divine towers are in rumble, and the population is in shambles. I mean, the capital has gold sealing the doors of its citizens, and I don't believe we ever got a true explanation as to why this happened, and even places that were not a part of the Shattering War, really, like Incaria, have been devastating due to loss and heartbreak. What I'm saying is that just because the world is empty, as you guys like to complain about, it's not like it's not just written in the lore why this would be, because like too many of us in the community love to say, the lore in these games are so great. Come on, plebs. All you have to do is read all the items. Pay attention to what every NPC says in the game in order to understand. Why can't you? And then, when the game does a masterful stroke at telling us all the info we need, we complain that a dying world feels empty. Also, don't think I forgot about the intricate level design, in that obviously not just me making a joke derisive voice part from earlier. While the other games in the series had to make do with backtracking and shortcuts in a way that made very linear games seem larger and beautifully connected, Elden Ring didn't have to do that. However, even with this, there are several hidden paths, shortcuts, and backtracks throughout the game in both legacy dungeons and even places in the open world. While I have to admit to you guys that some of the levels had similar layouts after 40 plus hours of playing the game, you would still have these moments of the game surprising you with an infinite stair style dungeon. The amount of times I've gone back through the game and I still find something that I somehow missed in the run before, to this day it still astonishes me. Let's face it, if I wanted to be one of those dicks, I would have just started this whole thing with the anime style Big 3 argument, and that's why I'm leaving it last, due to, in my opinion, it being the worst argument to make for something like this. However, Elden Ring did sell more copies in its first month of being released than all of the Dark Souls games that FromSoft has released through their entire lifetimes. Now, like I said, it's a bad argument, so how about this? Even though the old Souls games were being held up and kept alive with YouTubers like The Backlogs, the amount of fresh blood that came fully into the hobby of sadomasochism, known only to true Souls fans from Elden Ring, because of the sort of revival / renaissance that really helped keep the old titles alive even longer. How many videos have we seen of people going back and beating the old classics since they've played Elden Ring? Hell, I'd be willing to wager that the influx of people from Elden Ring Also revived some of those older Dark Souls channels into coming up with new challenges for us to watch. Hopefully I have made a convincing enough argument to bring the naysayers around to my point of view. I know some people are too stubborn to ever have their mind changed though, and I accept that. However, if I can say good things about every one of the Souls games, hopefully you can at least accept that Elden Ring has helped the franchise a bit. It's been a pleasure bringing my thoughts to you guys through this video, and I hope you have a wonderful time. I'd like to give a special shout out to my members before we go. At the Tarnished level, we have B Walker 8732 and B Sand. At the Demigod level, we have Ager, Cream of the Crop, Dappin of Dodd, Diaz Gaming, King Baby Seal III, Mike Hammond, Mimi Calpio, Neon Prime, Pim Plim, Syrup Galaxy, Totally Original Studios, Wizard of Strategy, Wolf the Bearer of the Chosen Unkindled Tarnished, and at the Elden Lord level, we have the one and only Noah. Be good to each other. Until next time, peace.